He's ready to go. Browns coach finally admits Shadur Sanders' truth after training camp. Coaches said wait. Analysts said chill. But Shadur Sanders just put the NFL on high alert, and his coach couldn't deny it any longer.
Nick Wilson is the person, I'll give him credit for being a catalyst in what we're talking about today, because he has seen the light. Oh, they have seen the light. It's coming around. I'll give him credit because he's starting to point out something that I've always been talking about, that I've been consistently talking about. And that is, stop trying to use this fifth round magic. It's not working. This 24-karat magic, this Bruno Mars is not working, because people is now seeing what it is. It's not a gimmick. Talent is what's gonna get him on the field. Knowledge, his ability to throw the football, all those things is what got him here. It's not your narrative. Here we go.
So the Browns coach finally admits it. Shadur Sanders is ready to go, and training camp just proved everything we've been saying all along. After months of playing games and treating this man like he's some random fifth-round project, the truth is finally coming out. You know what's wild? For months, we've been watching this chess game between Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns front office, dancing around the elephant in the room. But something shifted after training camp, and now we're finally hearing what we've been waiting for. A Browns insider just dropped some truth bombs that are making waves across the league. The same kid they tried to downplay as just a fifth-round pick is now being talked about in completely different terms. What changed? Why are people who were skeptical just weeks ago suddenly singing a different tune? And what does this mean for the Browns' future? Because what I'm about to show you isn't just another training camp report. It's the moment everything clicked for Cleveland's coaching staff. Look, I've been telling y'all this was coming. Remember when I said watch how these narratives start to shift once we get to training camp? Well, here we are, and it's happening exactly like I predicted. See, this is what the game of football is all about. Nobody is bigger than that figure. Out-time moment. And right now, with training camp in full swing, we're watching the stark stances that people were ready to die on start to crumble faster than a house of cards. You can't hide training camp footage. You can't spin what happens during those inter-squad scrimmages when the entire world is watching. And when it comes to these preseason games, man, that's on national television. A bunch of people are going to tune in, and the time for spin is done. It's all about what you put on that film, what you put on that field. And when Shedeur is out there dropping dimes, when his team is rallying behind him, when touchdowns are being scored, there ain't nothing nobody can do. You just gotta sit there and take that reality check. But here's where it gets interesting. And this is where I need y'all to pay attention, because this shift is happening in real time. It starts slow, just like I said it would. First, you hear whispers. Well, I think he's got an opportunity and a chance. Then it escalates to, well, he's done a good job in the offseason. He's acclimated himself. Next thing you know, these same people are saying, well, you know, he always had second-round talent. Always had it. And boom, there it is. The truth starts leaking out like water through a cracked dam. Shedeur was always been balling, but you know, it's just the fact that we had to put it all together. I think him sliding really put it in perspective for him and drove him. Then comes the full admission. They are really impressed by the way he's really done over the offseason, and it's night and day from where he was to that summer preparation. We'll give him credit because he really dialed in, locked in, and really put the extra work in. Right now, I can say he's on the same level as the others. That's how it starts, people. You slowly but surely get that realization moment. You start moonwalking back from all those harsh takes you had before. You get that glittery glove on because you know what? We're about to find out the truth, and some folks are gonna look real foolish when the dust settles.
But you use this mythical thing to put over. You use this blanket. And the problem I got with this blanket is, in the backdrop of all of this, is the fact that you feel that you are so secure in your job that you can play games with the quarterbacks, not play who you're supposed to play, lose a bunch of games, and we're gonna keep showing up. We don't come to watch the Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry show.
Now let me break down what's really happening here, because Nick Wilson over at 92.3 The Fan just dropped some serious knowledge that every Browns fan needs to hear. And I'm giving him full credit for being the catalyst in this conversation because he's finally seen the light. He's starting to point out what I've been consistently talking about. Stop trying to use this fifth-round magic narrative. It's not working anymore. This 24-karat magic, this Bruno Mars fantasy, people are seeing through it now. It's not a gimmick that's going to get Shedeur on the field. It's his talent, his knowledge, his ability to throw the football. All those things are what got him here, not some manufactured narrative that the front office is trying to push to here's what Wilson said that got my attention. You want to treat Shedeur like a fifth-round pick. Now, I get it, but you have to be open to that second-round talent being the thing that sparks your own curiosity. He's got to do it, guys. I know he's got to do it. I'm not here to say some people just want to give him things. Nope. It's the NFL, and I think he's got a great personality. So I think he'll naturally endear himself to his teammates. But how you really endear yourself to your teammates is work. Harder than everyone. Know the playbook better than everyone. Execute better than everyone. Be the most physically talented quarterback or somewhere in that conversation. And that's exactly what Shedeur has been doing. This man has that opportunity, and if he doesn't get it, and the Browns stick to this idea of treating him like some late-round project when he's doing everything that matters, then at some point, on a team with really just not great quarterback options, they're harming themselves. And that's exactly how coaches get fired. But here's the thing that's got me heated. Are we really going to sit here and pretend like we don't know what's going on? Are we really going to act like there isn't a large, vocal contingency of people who showed up in Cleveland that are ready to hold feet to the fire? You think fans are going to sit there and watch Kenny Pickett get 7 to 10 games because someone likes his long flowing hair or the way he wears 2 gloves, then lose 12 or 13 games in a row and just accept that? It's easy to say take these L's right now when it's just talk. It's easy to run around saying, let's take these losses. We don't even really got to play none of these dudes. But guess what happens when you start taking them L's in September, then October, then Thanksgiving and Christmas are coming up and you're still taking L's? People aren't going to sit around and say, oh well, at least we got Kevin Stefanski. We do not come to see coaches play. Stop trying to sell us on this regime worship. Y'all are finally starting to get it with other Cleveland teams, aren't you? You're finally coming around to the reality that we don't come to see nobody in the front office. Stop telling us about general managers and coordinators. Show us the wins that here's how I know what a good coach is. Ain't no headlines about drama. Here's how I know what a good general manager is. I don't even know who he is. The only thing I know is every time the Browns go up to the podium in the NFL draft, they keep getting steals. Every time I look around, a 4th, 5th, or 6th round pick is hitting, and I'm like, who is this guy? That's what good management looks like. The Wizard of Oz approach where results speak louder than personalities. But let me tell you something about this year. Some of y'all won't even see the promised land if you keep playing these games. My father always told me there were good people in the Bible that never saw the promised land. Some people ain't fit to see it. You can walk around in the wilderness for 40 years if you're not ready to embrace what's right in front of you. Now, here's where the logic completely breaks down, and this is what frustrates me the most. There's a quote that perfectly captures the absurdity of this situation. Show me an NFL coach who has won consistently without a good starting quarterback, and the list has to be very small. This was said about Kevin Stefanski's job being in jeopardy while finding their quarterback of the future. But let me ask you this. How does this make sense? You're telling me they drafted 2 quarterbacks this year, saying it's about finding the quarterback of the future, but in the present, you don't want to play the 2 guys or give them any opportunity to see what they can do. Instead, you're playing people from the past while talking about the future? You gotta make this make sense because you're caught between a rock and a hard place. And the reason people get caught in that position is because the logic is flawed. When the Cleveland Browns got Kevin Stefanski, Baker Mayfield was here. The Browns made the decision about Baker. Fans didn't make that call. Kevin Stefanski did. The Deshaun Watson situation? We didn't make that decision either. The Browns brass made that call. They went and changed defensive coordinators. They made all these moves. Now, this draft class, they had opportunities. They could have taken Travis Hunter, Jackson Dart, a bunch of different people. They chose their picks. Nobody hijacked the draft for the Cleveland Browns. No fan, no media member went over and turned in the card for them. They made the decision through their own free will. Oh, you're telling me they drafted these players and then don't want them to play? They drafted them, but don't want to give them minutes to evaluate them? You got two dudes that you know aren't franchise quarterbacks starting over the people you drafted. Here's my question. What is it? Either you're incompetent or you're frauds. Because if you knew you didn't want to play those guys, and you were the one evaluating them, why take them in the first place? This is where Nick Wilson's assessment becomes crystal clear. He's pointing out something that should be obvious to everyone. How are we acting like we're coming to see Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski play? They ain't taking no snaps, but they just get to stay while the actual players sit on the bench. You've been here for 6 years, Kevin. You've gotten to hire your staff and coaching staff. You've gotten to evaluate quarterbacks, trade for quarterbacks using assets, use draft picks, and capital. You could have gotten all the picks you wanted. But you want to tell me you want to suck this year, so you can go next year and say this class is better. That ain't how it works in real life. As an employer, I got to deal with staffing today. I'm tasked with staffing that position today. I can't go to my boss and say, listen, we're understaffed right now. We're not meeting our quarterly goals. Revenue is down. But I didn't like none of these batches of candidates. So in the next 6 months, there's a graduating class that I think is going to be much better. Your boss would say, listen, your job is to get the talent available at the time and then maximize it. That's what we hired you for. That's why you're in leadership. You take C players and make them Bs. Take B players and make them As. Develop a players so you can make your whole team better. But I guess that's just corporate America, and it doesn't work in football, right? Even though these are Fortune 500 companies we're talking about here. Let me tell you a story that perfectly illustrates why this mindset is so dangerous. When I got back into broadcasting, I had a chance to interview my old high school coach, Tom McDaniels, father of Josh McDaniels, who coordinated for Tom Brady through all those Super Bowls. This man is in the National High School Hall of Fame. Back in 1997, our team was dominating. We had 12 Division I scholarship athletes. USA Today wanted to rank us number 1 in the country. And you know what our coach said? No. He didn't think we were ready for that pressure and responsibility. But then he went to our biggest rival, the team that had beaten us for years, and asked their coach what he thought. That coach said, do it. When you give somebody that mantle and put the responsibility on them, you're going to find out. It's either going to make you or break you. So coach took the ranking, and that year we beat that same rival team twice and won the national championship. Sometimes you're not going to understand if somebody can handle the pressure until you put them in position to handle it. But the thing you cannot do is live in your fears. Sometimes the expectation has to be lifted for you to understand where you want to be. Right now, the Cleveland Browns are living in their fears. I don't care how many quarterbacks came before Baker, all of them. Who cares? You got young dudes that are ready to play. Always remember, your baggage ain't necessarily somebody else's baggage. Don't come into any situation thinking everything's going to work the same way just because you had a couple bad experiences. Some people come in saying, I've been doing this. I always won wherever I was at. I don't need a pep talk. I'm already ready to go. How are we going to move today? Sometimes you just need a couple of people. And I've always believed that when the Browns find their quarterback, all you need is a couple. You can change the world with 2 or 3 people locked in step, ready to go, with a healthy dose of, I don't care what you've been through. That's what you need to lift people that have been down. Sometimes certain people haven't been through what you've been through, and that's great. I want somebody I can look at and say, listen, I don't care what you went through yesterday. I'm talking about what we're doing today. Kevin Stefanski, the best way for you to save your job, forget about saving your job. The best way for you to thrive is to say, let me show you what he doesn't even know yet. You know what you could say if Shadur Sanders hits? I drafted him in the 5th round when you fools didn't take him. They told me to start this guy and that guy over here. You know what I did? I poured into him. I said, let's lock in. Let me show you how to elevate your game and give you the opportunity to be a leader. When you empower people, they'll run through a brick wall for you. When you empower somebody and say, these dudes didn't even know. These dudes passed on you. Let me show you what we're going to do. They'll say, this is where I'm supposed to be. That's the quickest way to a lifetime deal. Attaching yourself to the right player at the right time. And let me address the elephant in the room here. There should be a healthy dose of skepticism. And you know why? Because if you are the franchise quarterback, there are responsibilities that come with that. When they find a franchise quarterback, you are automatically elevated to a position above all else. It goes owner, then you. When you mention the Baltimore Ravens, what do you say? Lamar Jackson. When you say Buffalo Bills, it's Josh Allen. That's how the game works. When you're at the top of the food chain, they need to trust you because everyone's livelihood depends on your performance. If you have a bad year, they're not getting rid of the franchise quarterback, they're getting rid of the coach or coordinator. That's what's going to happen. So they need to vet you out properly. But here's the frustrating part: people want to keep acting like Shadur Sanders is a legitimate 5th-round pick. They want to act like, oh, he was 5th round because he doesn't have an arm. He can't throw the ball. No, he was a 5th-round pick because people said, I don't want to answer questions about Shedeur. I don't want to have to put him in rotation and have everybody clamoring for him. I don't want the headache. But let's be real. If his name was Joe Schmo and he was the exact same player, where would he have been drafted? 2nd round at worst. If his name was Milton Bradley, you think he would have been drafted worse than the 2nd round? I believe he would have been drafted in the 2nd round at worst. But honestly, I think he could have gone higher. After talking to people who've watched him closely, everybody is making this assumption that what he did at Colorado isn't translating to the NFL for whatever reason. But here's the thing. You passed on Travis Hunter, got Dillon Gabriel in the 3rd round because you said you liked him, got Shedeur, who was 2nd-round talent. People think he's got a lot of ability. You got him, but it seems like people are so reluctant to give these guys an opportunity to show what they can do because they want to fast forward this year to get to next year. Are you talking about Stefanski specifically? No, I'm talking about people in general, the media, certain fans. It's like, yeah, we know we don't want to ruin them. We don't want to put him in there too fast. But I'm not going to sit here watching Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco for 16 games while you say, oh well, next year there's a guy we like, so we're going to take that guy. You're fast-forwarding this year without seeing what Dillon Gabriel can do, without seeing what Shadur Sanders can do. And for a team that's 3-14, you don't have the luxury of wasting draft picks. If you didn't like these two, if you don't think they can play, don't draft them. Here's the truth that nobody wants to admit. A lot of people didn't want Shedeur here. A lot of people had whatever biases and thoughts they had about the situation. Now he's here, and you can't lie and say he can't play. So now what you're going to do is this passive-aggressive approach. Well, we're looking out for your best interests. You know how somebody insults your intelligence? They'll say, what I'm trying to really do is help you out. It's like somebody coming over to your plate at dinner and saying, I know you look a little overweight. What I'm going to do is grab your plate and finish off that steak because I'm trying to save you. Your cholesterol looks high. Blood pressure is borderline. Meanwhile, you're sitting there trying to finish your food wondering how this person has the audacity to put their hand in your plate and act like they're concerned about your well-being. You ain't concerned about my well-being. You're just being disrespectful. That's what this protecting narrative sounds like. You think Shadur Sanders is going up against a pack of hyenas? You think he's going against 5 silverback gorillas? All this protecting stuff, stop it. Y'all think y'all are real smart. And then after you don't play him for a whole year, you're the first one saying, we need a quarterback. We're drafting this guy. But here's what's beautiful about this whole situation. The truth always comes out. Training camp is that great equalizer where talent rises to the surface and narratives get exposed. And right now, what we're seeing is that shift I predicted. The same people who were ready to write off Shedeur as just another 5th-round project are starting to see what those of us who've been paying attention have known all along. This young man has the talent, the work ethic, and the mindset to be successful at the next level. He's not some charity case that needs to be protected from the big bad NFL. He's a competitor who's been preparing for this moment his entire life. And when you give him the opportunity to show what he can do, he's going to make believers out of a lot of people. The question isn't whether Shadur Sanders is ready. The question is whether the Cleveland Browns are ready to embrace what they have. Are they ready to stop playing games and start building around a quarterback who could be the answer to their decades-long search? Or are they going to let fear and politics keep them from recognizing a blessing when it's right in front of them? Because, at the end of the day, this isn't just about one player or one season. This is about the future of a franchise and whether they're going to make the bold moves necessary to finally get over the hump. The talent is there. The opportunity is there. The only question left is whether the Browns are going to be smart enough to seize it. What do you think? Are the Browns finally ready to unleash Shadur Sanders? Or are they going to keep playing it safe and waste another season? And more importantly, when this man starts lighting up the scoreboard, are you going to remember who was telling you? the truth from the beginning? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe because this story is just getting started, and you're going to want to be here when everything unfolds.